Villains. Whether you love them, hate them, or love to hate them, villains have the potential to be your best written character. I draw on two of my favorite characters of all time, Azula and Silco. So, needless to say, I love the Fatui. I'm not a child enjoyer, but he's definitely interesting to study for writing. Arlecchino is definitely getting a full video in the future, and Scar is one of my favorite characters in the game. But, hands down, the most evil character in the game without contest is Dottore. He literally has zero empathy, experimenting on children, and has no regard for anyone around him. His reasoning is entirely selfish and seemingly detached from reasonable motives, and I love him. Not to say I agree with his actions, because what the hell, but it's precisely because of that he's so interesting. Full-on irredeemable villains are so interesting and such a breath of fresh air. I love redemption arc as much as anyone, but evil villains are just so fun to follow. So that's why I'm worried for Dottore. If you somehow haven't noticed, Genshin has a habit of forcing their redemption arcs to the point where it ruins entire characters. Case in point, Raiden. I love her, but her writing is handled terribly, especially in her first story quest. She goes from a tyrant to an ooh shy girl in seconds. It's super frustrating to see what could have been such a cool character handled like this. Genshin has this obsession with making evil characters good before they become playable, and as you can probably guess, I hate this. I love a good redemption arc as much as anyone, but with some characters, a realistic redemption arc just isn't possible. While I'd argue writing could be redeemed with better writing, I see almost no way to redeem a child experimenting psychopath. But I want to ask the question, what if he did become playable? How could this be navigated? Let's find out, shall we? Remember, as always, to like and sub. I make a ton of video essays like this one analyzing the story of Genshin Impact, so make sure to turn on your notifications so you never miss an upload. Anyway, enough from me, let's get into the video. If Genshin were to make him playable, there are two routes I think they could take. The first one, and the one I highly prefer, is to just make him an evil playable character. It's okay for him not to be redeemed, characters don't have to be good to be interesting. If Dottore was just straight up evil while being playable, we use this as an interesting opportunity to get a new perspective. Just think of the voice lines we could have getting into the mind of a murderer. An interesting route if they were to do this could be to study serial killers or something, and integrate parts of their personality into him to showcase what a truly evil villain he is. A pro in taking this route is that they don't have to worry about forcing an unrealistic redemption arc. Not to mention that Genshin's playable cast is quite large. While they do a pretty good job of making each character unique, there are bound to be a few repeats here and there. Having someone like Dottore just be an evil playable character could serve as a good way to diversify the personalities of the cast. A con of this, though, could be player reception, especially in China. There's a section of that base in particular that gets incredibly butthurt when characters are evil/rude to them. Think back to the whole anti-Scaramouche and fans killing cats drama last year. And while Hoyo thankfully didn't bend to these players' frankly ridiculous demands, they have a reputation for scraping to the CN fanbase, prioritizing that eastern section since it's one of their largest fan bases. I'd imagine they want to avoid something like that again, which, as I mentioned, sucks. So, the other route, which I think is far more likely, the rogue segment. Dottore makes many copies of himself at different ages, basically clones of himself at various ages of life. He recently deleted all of his segments in order to make a deal with Nihida for the Dendronosis. But Dottore says himself that he can just make more, and this is only a temporary hindrance. So in order to make a Dottore that's stomachable or something, have a Dottore who's watered down. Perhaps his segments will be revived. Maybe it has something to do with the Nalan Act 5 thing, but I don't think so. More likely, it would have to do with the burning of Irminsul and some long-buried knowledge corrupting a current segment, maybe showing a younger version of Dottore who has some more morality to him. Maybe, when Dottore burns Irminsul, all the stored knowledge would be released, including the memories of all of his segments before they were destroyed. He could feel their pain and anguish as they would burn. Maybe, for something extra painful, he could feel all the pain of the people he hurt and experimented on. He could combine his sadism with some sort of dual personality trying to be better and improve himself. So, kind of like the Scar and Wanderer thing, but with both personalities making a mix, instead of Scar's personality being pasted into Wanderer. Another possibility is that Dottore didn't actually destroy all of his segments. Nihida is smart, but she's ultimately still a child, and he's one of the most powerful people in Teyvat. It's very possible that he somehow fooled her, or even himself, into not destroying a few of his segments. My favorite variation of the rogue segment is where he doesn't get watered down. Dottore seems like someone who has no allegiances and just joins whoever benefits him most. If the Fatui's goals shift against his, or we the travelers shift to work a bit with him, he'd betray the Fatui in a heartbeat. By doing this, we could form a tentative alliance. Best part about this, he's still evil. But we have a reason not to kill each other. Perhaps we have something he wants. I've seen theories that the traveler will get the Pyronosis this time around. Maybe we'll exchange something like that for one of his segments. Or maybe he could attempt to study the traveler and figure out our origins for us. But bottom line, a rogue segment. I will not address the third possibility of redeeming him since 1, that is literally impossible, and 2, we would flub that redemption arc so bad, guaranteed, ruining his character. And there's something else I want to address, and that is the inherent problems in making a playable villain. A lot of people I've seen in forums don't want him to be playable for various reasons. Between him being an irredeemable monster or having a boring design, lots of players are vehemently against Dottore becoming playable. And I'll lose my objectivity in here and say, yes, I'd want playable Dottore. If he's written well and I enjoy the playstyle, I'd pull. Like I said at the beginning, I love evil characters. But to me, I think it's possible to love him without condoning his actions. Kali and Scar are basically my children, and I will never forgive what he did to them. But even so, we can have evil characters. The only reason I'd be against him becoming playable is if they forced a redemption arc on him. Also, and this is apparently a hot take, if you hate him so much, can you just, not pull for him? Whoa, right, crazy idea. So that's it for me. Super sorry this video took an extra week to put out. I was super busy last week. Thank you all for being so patient. Also, a fun fact, I have a Discord now. If you join before the end of the month, you'll get a special OG role. In the Discord, I have spots where we can talk about the story, where I notify you about upcoming videos, and spots where we can just hang out and talk about our spot time with this game. Hope to see you there. Anyway, I'd like to hear your thoughts now that I've given mine. Do you think Dottore will be playable? How do you think we'll go about it? Comment your ideas below. Alright, and with that, have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are, and hope to see you in the next one.